Hello and welcome to the Calmcast, a time to feel calm and think clearly. I'm Claire Downham, the Queen of Calm, a transformational life coach. I was a burnt out head teacher who finally made the journey to calm after years of trying, and I want to prevent you from having to do the same. The Calmcast is a series of short explorations, gently guiding you back to your natural state, which is calm and clarity. Just listen like you would listen to music, with an open mind and curiosity. There's nothing else to do. Now let's relax into today's episode. So today, stress, tiredness and the impact on our relationships, which might for some of you feel like I'm stating the flipping obvious. But I think for a lot of people, there isn't the awareness of our state of mind. I think is going to come out really strongly in this, and I've got so many fab examples. But so when I was in the process of, I didn't know I was in the process of burning out, but when I was in the process of burning out, I didn't sleep. If I got 3 hours, it was a good night. 5 hours, I was over the moon. My sleep was poor probably in the last 3 months or so, maybe from January to when I walked out of work and I went back in March 2015. So it's 8 years ago now. And now I wasn't actually in a relationship then. I didn't have a partner at that point. Obviously, I was in lots of relationships. We always are, but I didn't have a partner. But I was on edge, and my state of mind was not good. But I didn't know that. So this is where we're pointing to, really, with this understanding is an awareness of our state of mind, not what's going on out there, because that can be the trap, can't it? It's all about what's going on out there. So when we are stressed, tiredness comes in more than one kind of way, really. So there is the point where we are so stressed that our sleep is evading us. So for me, I was running on adrenaline most of the time. So my system just didn't seem to be able to shut down anymore. It kind of had lost the ability to shut down properly. So I would fall asleep okay mostly through sheer exhaustion. But then I would wake in the night very soon after falling asleep, and then there would be a lot going on in my head, and I wouldn't be able to get back to sleep again. So that my sleep would be shortened quite dramatically. That thing of then the time keeps going on, doesn't it? And suddenly you look at your clock and it's nearly time to get up, and you realise that, and that's a pretty horrendous place to be in. But I found it difficult to concentrate. I couldn't think straight, really. I had a very responsible job as a head teacher at that point, and I couldn't really think straight. And I was also doing online dating, and I suspect quite strongly that I had become pretty irrational in that in that experience. So that's one thing. The other thing about running on adrenaline all the time is that even if, like, for some people, sleep's their only salvation, really, when they're very, very stressed. And so they sleep fine, but they feel absolutely shattered all the time. I've worked with a lot of clients who, I can't understand why they're so tired. Well, it's because you're running on this kind of nervous energy all the time, and your body just does not like that. And so you feel tired, lethargic, fatigued, you feel terrible. Now, that's having an awareness. So the first piece of awareness, I think, in this session is, well, is that you? Is that you? Is that how you're feeling right now? Don't do nothing about it. Don't just ignore it. That's what I did. I ignored it because I didn't know there was anything wrong. But please don't do that. Don't wait until you end up like I ended up, unable to work for a year and really very poorly. So that's the first piece of awareness. So so it's interesting then to explore how this kind of plays out in our relationships. Well, I know that, well, I know now that when I'm tired, Bruce can do nothing at all virtually, and I will be upset with him. Now, because I've been exploring this understanding about the mind for a little while now, that doesn't tend to last too long. Excuse me. See, tired today. It doesn't last very long, and its intensity is a lot less than it used to be. But that's one thing. We just tend to be more snippy with the other person and more upset. So our funny story about recently is that we went on this walk, Bruce and I, and what we do is if we go for a walk, we do about 10 miles. We do 10 miles on an empty stomach because we do fasting. I'm not advocating you doing this. This is just what we do. So we don't eat for 16 hours a day, and then we eat in an 8-hour window. So we often don't eat till lunchtime. So we set off on a walk that we think is going to be about 8 miles, somewhere near Sheffield. We were Barnsley way, and so we didn't take much. We took water with us. We had I think we had some fruit with us, but not very much food. And we got seriously lost, like 12 and a half miles lost. So we're supposed to do 8 miles, and we did 12 and a half miles because we got so lost. And there was one particular field we went up and down about 6 times. So, yeah, not good. So we became quite grumpy with each other because we were tired, we were hangry, and we got quite snippy with each other. But because we had this understanding, we were aware that we were snippy with each other. And it was okay. We kind of navigated through it fine, and we didn't fall out with each other. But it was because of the awareness. So this is where the awareness is really key. When you are tired, you are generally pretty irrational. Everybody, like, this is not personal. This is how the mind works. When you are tired, you don't think as straight. Everything seems worse. And you've probably seen this. Everything seems quite dramatic. Other people seem to be more annoying than than normal, and it all looks worse than it really is. And what then happens is that in this tired state of mind, thoughts come in that are not helpful, like, they don't care about me, or why they're behaving like that, it's ridiculous, or whatever else it is. And then we will behave towards our, whoever it is, whether it's our person, our significant other, or our children, or people we work with, our employees, our colleagues, our partner in business, whatever it is. We will be less able to keep a level head around other people. Now, this is not about trying to control all of that, but it's having some self-awareness. It's having some awareness that when we are tired, when we are stressed and then tired as a result of that, we are not going to be particularly rational beings. We're going to tend to be on a short fuse. And then once we know that, well, first of all, we might be more inclined to do something, not do something, but to become more aware of what's going on in terms of stress, get some help from some lovely person like me, and start to navigate our way away from the state of stress that we're in, so that we are calmer and more level-headed, and therefore navigate our relationships with more ease. But even if we don't do that, having this awareness is so important. When we were on that walk and we were starting to get snippy with each other, Bruce and I knew that we were starting to get snippy with each other. That's it. We knew we were in a low state of mind. That's the awareness, really. Do you know when you are in a poor state of mind? Do you know when you're overtired? Do you know when you're hungry and therefore snappy because you just need a slice of bread or a bit of chocolate or something? Have you got that awareness? Because the awareness is key. It's not about self-flagellation and beating yourself up and being horrible yourself, but it is about knowing when your state of mind is not its best. Not just because we're tired, but all the time, having that awareness is so, so important. So, and the other thing that I think comes in when we're feeling stressed and therefore tired, and how that impacts on our relationships, is that we just sometimes, like, there's the snippy side of it, but then there's the can't be bothered side of it. I can't be bothered to go out for a meal. I can't be bothered to spend quality time with my partner. I can't be bothered to ask my staff how they are. I can't be bothered to play with my kids. There's all of that. Now, if you're feeling like that, that is not truly who you are. You're not in a good place, and it's a good idea to ask for some help and get some help with that. Because that can really destroy relationships. I speak to so many people who are working far too hard and, are kind of putting their relationship to one side for later. Whether that's a relationship with their kids or their partner, they're just popping it to one side, and they'll get back to it later when they've created this business or this life or this money or this number of clients that they really want. Then they'll circle back and hope that their little family and, their friendships and everything else are just all still stood there waiting for them. But of course, that isn't what happens. And as you become more stressed and more tired, it looks like a lot of effort to do those things. And of course, the other thing in your very personal relationships is that the physical side, the affectionate physical side of that, the sexual side of that becomes difficult to engage with when you're stressed and tired. It really does. Just when you're stressed anyway, that your head is so busy that being present with another person enough to be affectionate with them and spend that kind of quality time with them becomes really, really hard. So that's kind of it, really. It's all about, like, this understanding of the mind and how it works and how we work is so kind. It really is. And it's just about helping us to see that that's what's going on the surface, the tiredness, the stress, the snippiness, the withdrawal, whatever it is. But that's not who you truly are. And underneath that, once you become aware of this surface stuff that's going on, who you really are underneath that is just revealed, really. And that's what's so wonderful about this exploration. There's nothing to do. You don't need anything else to do. I'm fairly sure you've got enough on trying to manage your life, your business, and trying to maintain some kind of relationships with the people around you. So that's stress, tiredness, and the impact on our relationships, and how this understanding of the mind is pivotal in us navigating our way back to ourselves and back to the relationships we really want to have. If you are feeling stressed, and now you're beginning to know now that you are stressed, because lots of people don't know, and you're noticing some impact on your relationships, that's not coming from the outside, that's coming from the inside. And once you learn that, you can have a much nicer life, basically. So please don't hesitate in reaching out for a conversation. Take care. Lots of love. Thank you so much for listening. There's nothing to do now but bring some awareness to how this is working out in your life. Listen regularly to experience longer and longer periods of calm. This has been the Calmcast with Claire Downham, Queen of Calm. Take care and keep listening.